things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out. Well, maybe tomorrow the world will wake and get it right, but I have my doubts, yeah. During the day, well, I design machines of war that scream through the sky. 'Cause I, for one, I like to go to bed free at night under these stars and stripes. And I have my doubts that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts, but they'll wind you up and pull the cord until you're spun right out. And I don't understand. Roll the dice and raise the price to feed the machine's mouth. Call it the progress of man. And I have my doubt that we're coming out. Yes, I have my doubt. And I have my doubt that we'll make it back out. I have my doubts, so I'll drink my stuff and raise some hell and shoot my guns to the end of my time. You can have the booze and go to hell and take the guns, but I know they won't be mine. We're coming out. Yes, I have my doubts, and I have my doubts that we'll make it back out. Yes, I have my doubts. So we're all messed up and out of touch. Let's text someone who's in the other room. So don't wonder why we don't say hi or know anyone. I might as well move to the moon. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. So maybe I'm wrong. Well, I hope that I'm wrong. Well, the things I think while I lie awake and contemplate tonight are wearing me out.
Good evening. So let me turn this down a smidge. I always forget to do that. So anyway, updates today. I've been actually keeping a pretty close eye on situations news. It kind of got a little nuts today, in a sense. Don't think nothing's too serious, but there certainly was a lot of news, and there was a lot of news that I can actually associate with what I'm going to talk about tonight. So yesterday I talked about how the battlefield is going to change, and that is true for just about every aspect of the battlefield. And one of those aspects, of course, is nuclear proliferation. So I wanted to talk on that for a little bit because the battlefield, I don't know why, it just seems fitting to call it that. It has changed drastically from what we knew in, say, the Cold War till today. Big changes. Big changes, the whole gambit. So, what spawned this topic was a headline that I had put out today. And I've spoke on this subject numerous times on the show, but it's probably a good time to touch upon it again, especially considering everything that's going on. And to be real honest, I see one of two likely scenarios coming in the short term. When I say short term, I mean probably within a couple of years. That's what I'm talking about, short term. One of two things. And I think 2 years is stretching it. But that's just my gut instinct. So anyway, let me get you switched over here so I don't forget. This was the article here. What pandemic? U.S. spent more on nuclear weapons development in 2020 than the rest of the world combined, report says. Yes, this is true, and this is one thing that I thank Donald Trump for. We had an aging military system, if you want to call it that, period. And Trump had really turned around as far as funding in our military in various areas of the military. And that was one of the things I commended him for, because for several, and I mean several administrations, since Reagan, to be honest, the military, pretty much all aspects of it, had been neglected. So that is one thing that I've stood firmly behind Trump for. And so this is some of what Trump did coming to light. No pun intended. So why the big push? Before I get into it, largely because we're outdated. Russia and China both have functioning hypersonic missiles. We don't. To my knowledge, we're still in testing stages of it. And I know I've talked about how what we know, we're so far behind. Oops. Well, there's some stuff that's not the case. There's some stuff that, yeah, we're pretty well kept in line with where they're at. Pretty well. And this was, again, we got outdated because there was no money being put into it, especially our nuclear weapons arsenal. There was no money being put into it. So we got heavily outdated. It's not a matter of we couldn't. It's a matter of we weren't even trying. So that's why we're behind. It's just what it is. So, to my knowledge, we still don't have a functioning one. There's still issues. I know not real long ago there was a test, but it was not successful. It is what it is. Let me go ahead and read the article so you know what it says, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about why I think that this is possibly more of a threat than a lot of people may think. And I'm not talking fear-mongering here. Actually, kind of quite the contrary. But, it is a threat we need to look at and we need to talk about. So, anyway, here's the article. United States accounted for over half the total nuclear weapons spending in 2020. The $37.4 billion that went towards its nuclear arsenal beat the combined expenditure of the 8 other nuclear powers, a new report says. The majority of that whopping sum, roughly 5% of the country's total military spending last year, was dispersed as defense contracts to private corporations. Nearly a third, around $13.7 billion, was awarded to contractor Northrop Grumman, who is building a new intercontinental nuclear weapons system. Okay? According to the report titled Complicit 2020 Global Nuclear Spending and published on Monday by advocacy group International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, or ICAN. ICAN what? I can blow the hell out of you? Nuclear-armed countries collectively spent $72.6 billion on these weapons last year, an uptick of $1.4 billion on the previous year. Let's see. The U.S. spent more than 3 times the figure dished out by its closest competitor, China, $10.1 billion. Russia was listed in third place at $8 billion, while UK spent around $6.2 billion, the report said. The ICAB report calculated the nuclear-armed states, which also include France, India, Israel, Pakistan. Ooh, they actually included Israel in there. Pakistan and North Korea together spent more than $137,000 per minute on atomic weapons as the pandemic raged in 2020. There's always more nuclear spending out there, even more still lurking in the shadows. Susie Snyder, managing director of the project Don't Bank on the Bomb and co-author of the report, told The Intercept. Snyder told the outlet that governments, especially U.S., UK, and France, are always demanding transparency, yet they do not hold themselves to the standards they demand of others. More than 20 nuclear weapons developers were found to have profited from existing or new contracts, with 11 Western companies bringing in $27.7 billion in new or modified nuclear weapons contracts by themselves, the report notes. Behind Northrop Grumman on this leaderboard were fellow American firms General Dynamics at $10.8 billion, Lockheed Martin at $2.1 billion, Raytheon Technologies at $450 million, and Charles Stark Draper Laboratory at $342.3 million. The report also lays bare the realities of the spending cycle, which sees governments increasingly channel public money into nuclear contracts. Weapons manufacturers, in turn, spend increasingly larger amounts on lobbying policymakers, to the tune of nearly $100 million last year, to help nudge budgeting officials towards raising the expenditure. For every dollar spent last year lobbying governments to raise spending on defense, 236 came back to companies in nuclear weapons contracts, the report states. Companies even lobbied to authorize defense funding in COVID-19 relief bills. For instance, the report notes that much of Boeing's defense lobbying activities were bundled in with lobbying around the U.S. $2.2 trillion CARES, the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, economic stimulus plan. You paying attention to that? Let's see. The report highlighted, for instance, the Atlantic Council, which received upwards of $1.7 million in 2019, published an issue brief which recommended the U.S. proceed to develop new low-yield, and we're going to talk about nuclear capabilities to deter Russia. According to the ICAN report, Northrop spent $13.3 million in lobbying U.S. policymakers and at least another $2 million in funding 9 major think tanks, including the Atlantic Council, the Brookings Institution, the Center for New American Security, and the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The contract for the ground-based strategic deterrent ballistic missile system awarded to Northrop Grumman last year is reportedly expected to be worth an estimated $85 billion over the program's lifetime. In a March 2020 teleconference with reporters, Will Roper, the Air Force's Assistant Secretary for Acquisition, said despite the pandemic, there were no major delays to Air Force weapons development programs. Rather than adopting an all-hands approach to helping millions of COVID-19 patients survive or donating profits to medical charities, the report notes that these firms spent money to persuade policymakers to sustain the nuclear weapons industry and to line their own pockets for years to come. Well, yeah, that's a given, but let's get into this a little bit. Let's talk about what's going on, why they're doing it, and obviously what that means for us, because it's kind of nukes. It kind of means something for us. So let's discuss this a little bit. So I had already spoke a little bit to hypersonic weapons, and what that is. Let me have a sip of tea, maybe a vape. Oh, hell, while I'm at it, I'll kick my feet up and take a nap. Why not? Oh, I do want to make a reminder while I'm taking a little break from talking to you about this. It's about that time. Every once in a while, I say something to you guys about charging batteries, and so I'm saying something to you again. So charge your batteries. If you need to charge your batteries and stuff, or if you got stuff that needs, charge, make sure you charge everything. Make sure you go through, charge all your, if you use 18650s like I do, make sure you go through and you charge them, charge your radios, flashlights, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. Do it every so often. Just go and top everything off. So it's that time. I've actually got, well, hang on. I've actually got the Go Power Plus here with the Xtar X4. It's charging 3 Energizer AA batteries, and that's how many this CountyCom radio takes. It's the I never can remember the numbers. It's the GP5 SSB. CountyCom.com is where you get that radio at. It's just a receiver for shortwave. So anyway, so I'm charging up these currently, and I'm just using the Go Power Plus because I haven't really used it that much, and I do want to run it through several cycles, because even LiPo batteries, all of them, you do want to run them through some full cycles, some good full cycles. You just want to do it. It's a good thing to do them, and so that's what I'm doing. And as soon as I get done kind of charging up as much as I can and draining this thing down, then I'll charge this thing all the way back up. So hang on, let me put it up. Anyway, so I talked to you already about this hypersonic part of this equation, and we were just behind in the game on it, is essentially what it is. We got started late, so I'm not super concerned about that, because I don't see, not right now, not this particular moment, because I really don't see Russia or China trying to get a first strike in on us. I'm just not seeing it. So I'm not concerned about the hypersonic missile part of the equation so much. But what I wanted to point out is they talked about low yield nuclear weapons. And so let me explain what this means, the difference. Before the Cold War, kind of the mindset was that the way this nuclear deterrent worked was through kind of an ideology called MAD, or mutually assured destruction. And so that in and of itself was the deterrent. So in other words, if country A launched, there would be a full-scale reply, essentially. And so everything would be wiped out. So mutually assured destruction. It was kind of the way the Cold War ran, in a sense, or should I say, didn't run. But anyway, now because of lots of advancements in technology in every area involved, now we can not only have much more precise tracking and guidance of these weapons, but we can also have a lot greater control over what kind of damage they do. And so now we are actually we've reached a point to where we can make little nuclear booms. I mean, seriously, we can make small nuclear booms. We could literally take out one building with a nuclear weapon. I mean, we've got them. So, and that is what this is about, okay? A big thing is, for some reason it says I'm disconnected. Well, that's interesting. I don't know how long I was gone there, but I had a warning from OBS saying I was disconnected. I don't know how long I was gone, but my apologies. I just noticed that at the bottom. So anyway, that is why I think that, today we stand in a position to where there's more likely of a chance of nuclear conflict, and even more likely than back in the Cold War. And the reason why is because we're not working on that level anymore necessarily. We're not working on that level of mutually assured destruction. In other words, one country could take out just a portion of a major city. Okay, you have to understand. You have to have a good reason. Okay, if a portion of one of our cities was taken out, it would not be a proper reply for us to unleash the Kraken, okay, and wipe out the planet Earth. That's what I'm saying, okay? It would not be a proper reply to reply with the mad mentality, so to speak, the mutually assured destruction, if all the enemy did was take out a part of a city. Okay, that would not be a proper reply. So that's what they're geared to be able to fight. Warfare like that. And I think we're going to see it. I absolutely do. And in fact, I do think that we've seen this used in other countries. I do. There's been some very interesting bombings and stuff like that in different countries over towards the Middle East, and very interesting ways that the ways that they appeared. I'll put it that way. So I think they've already been testing them here and there. Just like it hit the news. I guess it was last week, about that autonomous drone that just took off on its own and started chasing people. Yeah, I mean, this stuff's a reality. This is what we're looking at, and the battlefield, like I said, it's changed on all fronts, and every aspect of every front, it's changed. So I do highly recommend that people get ready, put in preps for type of event like this, radiological event. I don't think that we should necessarily live in the same fear that existed during the Cold War, because I don't think, I really don't think that there's any country that really wants to go to the level of mutually assured destruction. I don't. But right now, tensions are extremely high. And I do expect conflict. And that conflict could lead to it. Have to understand, look at different options here, strategic options, not only from our nation but other nations. And let's just say there's a skirmish that broke out overseas, right? U.S. not initially involved, like I kind of suspect's going to happen. But then let's say the U.S. gets involved, and the U.S. throws out some tits, and so Russia wants to reply with a tat, and since we're halfway across the damn ocean, well, the best way they could reach out and touch someone is with a hypersonic missile. I mean, that is a very possible scenario. Very possible. Like I said, there is not going to be another major global conflict to where the continental U.S. is not involved. It's not going to happen. The entire battlefield has changed. Logistics have changed. Weaponry has changed. Everything has changed. Now they don't even have to put boots on the ground. They can deploy robots. Literally. We're at that stage. We're at that stage. So, again, prep for radiological conflict, but I just, my personal opinion, you can feel at ease that this is not a mutually assured destruction situation. I just don't think so. I don't think any nation wants to go there. I really don't. But like I said, tensions are high. They're getting higher. I've got several articles that I brought up. I'm not going to read all the articles to you, but I do want to go through the headlines of them. They are headlines all from today. All from today. And so this is why I'm saying we need to be mindful of the stuff that's going on, and we need to be mindful of what the militaries are doing. Not only what they're actually doing, but also the propaganda that's being put out there. Remember, I talked about propaganda yesterday too. And a lot of the times that the propaganda is put out there, it's not to try to intimidate the other country's government. Okay? It's to try to intimidate the other country's citizens, the citizens. Because if the citizens are scared, if the citizens are scared to go to war for whatever reason, doesn't want to go to war, they're going to be against their government doing so. Propaganda. It's just one of the many ways it's employed. So, anyway, let me just real quick run through these, and then we'll do regular headlines. Get the hell out of here. So, not a whole lot to talk about. I just wanted to really point that out, that there is a lot going on, and all the governments are working feverishly at their nuclear stockpiles. Don't let the amount of money that the U.S. put into it dwarfing the other countries. Don't let that, there's multiple reasons for that. Number one, it's the U.S. Right? It's the U.S. Yeah, the home of the $50,000 hammer. So that's one thing. And then, like I said, we're way behind. So they're in a mad rush to play catch up. So, and I think that they're probably not too far away. We've got some incredible engineers and scientists and you name it. So, when the United States wants to do something, they'll damn well do it. That's for sure. That's the problem. It's getting them to want to do something, and it's concern over the things that they currently want to do. So, but anyway, the headlines that I noted today, they kind of tweaked my eyebrows. Push of COVID-19 lab leak theory. Oh, sorry. I should have brought this back up. Push of COVID-19 lab leak theory, no different from Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction lies, says Chinese embassy. Those are pretty big words. Those are pretty big words. I do personally believe that it came from that lab. I don't have many doubts, to be honest. But they got a point. I mean, as far as the Iraq weapons of mass destruction. The level of humiliation that is going on between nations is not good. I think I probably worded that as accurately as I could think to word it. Not good. Russia expresses anger about U.S.-led NATO war games over frozen Arctic and says provocative aerial combat simulations challenge peace. So, of course, the Arctic is an area that's been contested now for some time. And there's been lots and lots and lots of military activity going on. Of course, Russia has opened up new, what do you call it? Shipping route. There we go. Shipping route through the Arctic. And, of course, that doesn't sit real well with the United States either because that helps increase Russia's economy. So, yeah. A lot of tensions for a lot of reasons. Moscow to quit International Space Station in 2025 unless Washington lifts restrictive sanctions, says Russian space boss. Well, isn't it the Russians has been hauling the astronauts to the space station? Because to my knowledge, we don't, right this moment, currently have any type of a vehicle to take humans to and from the space station. I know that we've taken several, rocket ships full of supplies. I think SpaceX has done that. But as far as humans, I don't think we've done that in a while. I could be mistaken. I don't follow the space program really, really close. But I think it's been a while. So I don't even know if we've taken anybody up there since we've had a working Challenger. Or not Challenger, Space Shuttle, sorry. Yeah, we haven't had a working Challenger in quite some time. Sorry. I honestly didn't mean to flub that one up. Washington says Ukrainian claims Biden offered NATO membership action plan are incorrect as Kiev backtracks on account of call. So, again, a lot of stuff going on involving Ukraine, which is another huge area of tension. I don't know what's up necessarily with this, but I do know that there's lots of concern that, like I mentioned yesterday, Nord Stream 2, that's going to open up and that they're going to stop allowing, I guess there's a different pipeline. I can't remember the name of it, but there's another pipeline, I guess, where Ukraine essentially gets their energy from. And they're going, their fear is they're going to shut it down. Ukraine's fear is they're going to shut it down. I don't know if they are or they're not. And to be honest, my opinion is if it's theirs, it's their right. I don't know, I don't know what to tell people. I mean, sovereign nations are just that. They're sovereign. I don't think anybody should be forced on any. So, Oh, good evening. Let's see. Oh, I have no doubt of that. I have no doubt about that. Um, yeah, I'll have to look more into that too. I know there's been a lot of archaeological discoveries, especially over the past like year to 2 years, and some of them are extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. Um, I don't. There are so many things going on in the world. Unbelievable, and it reminds me of the Good Book and what it says about a particular time, to where knowledge, would be so vast, and I honestly, I think we're there. I honestly think we're at that time. So, let's see. Oops. Let's see. Trusted tech platform used by U.S. government offices held hostage in ransomware attacks, says the media. And the reason I included this in is because of all of the cyber attacks, that is one of the two things that I see happening. Now, as far as a cyber attack on our nation's power grid, I don't know who would be the perpetrator behind that, to be real honest, because I see that coming about in so many different scenarios, it's unreal. But this is something that we need to certainly pay attention to, whether, I don't know, whether Russia or China or Iran or North Korea or whoever just gets a false blame put on there for a context of war. For some reason, I've got this nagging feeling in my gut that a cyber hack on our grid is going to be the next Gulf of Tonkin. So, if, I just really do. I think that's where we're at. I'm not so worried about other countries when it comes to that as I am other countries, right? China's defense ministry blasts vile provocation after U.S. senators visit Taiwan on military plane. And I'm sitting here when I read this headline like, big deal. And I'm still like, big deal. And there's a reason why I'm like, big deal, because aren't they U.S. senators? I kind of expect them to go over on a military plane. But, yeah, I don't know. But apparently it pissed China off, and big deal. I don't blame them. They're U.S. representatives. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm gonna have the military with them over there. Yeah, be a good plan. But just shows you just how tight those tensions are. Not a good situation. And like I said yesterday, it's multiple countries involved in all the tensions, and it involves so many different things. COVID is just one small aspect of it. You've got the economy, which is probably the largest aspect of it. We're not in any type of oil shortages or anything like that, so we don't really have to worry about war over those kind of resources, although we sure in the hell stole enough of it when we were in the Middle East, didn't we? Unbelievable. That ain't why we were there. We weren't there for the oil, but we damn sure made use of it while we were, huh? And I'm sure there's still some wells that we're still in control of. I have no doubt. Just nuts. Just nuts. Let's see, I got a one up there. Let me get this shared out before I start reading them, so it'll be included. But yeah, as I said, reminder, battery time. If you got a lot of rechargeable batteries or stuff that needs recharged, do it every so often. Now's that time. I don't, it's probably a good practice to mark it down and all that. I just do it every so often. I don't have to mark it down because it's kind of one of those things just with me. I mean, if you're one of those people that have to write everything down like that and have that schedule, that's fine. With me, I just have stupid reminders, and I probably actually do it more often than I need to do it. So it's not something that I forget or that I'm absent-minded about or anything like that. So I don't actually have a day, but for a lot of people, it might be a good idea to pick a day. And you can even do it once a month. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. It's not gonna hurt a thing. Once a month to go through, charge up all your rechargeable devices and all your batteries. So ain't gonna hurt nothing. So I will say this. Li-ion batteries. Probably better off not to keep those charged up. Okay, did I say, stop, I messed up. I'm sorry, not Li-ion, lithium polymer, LiPo batteries. It's probably best not to charge those up and leave them charged up if you're not going to use the device. LiPo batteries, keep them, about halfway, about 50%, maybe even 40%. And the reason why is because they have a tendency to puff up, expand, when they're left fully charged like that. In fact, my Mavic Air 2 drone, those batteries in that drone, actually, they call them intelligent batteries. If I charge the battery all the way up for that drone and it sits for, it's either 2 or 3 days, that battery will start discharging itself automatically. And so it does that to protect that battery. So automatically, it's got a circuit in it that kicks on and just starts a slow drain on that battery and drains that battery down to like 50%. Not all at one time, but it does it a little bit, like each day it does it for a little bit until it gets it down to like 50%. And then that is recommended storage voltage for the battery. And so, lithium polymer, those are the exception. Don't top those off and keep them topped off if you're not using them, because you're actually destroying them by doing so. So, thought I'd better say that because it's kind of important. But LiPo, I keep doing it. Li-ion, like your 18650s and stuff. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can charge them up, put them on the shelf. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. So you're not gonna damage the batteries. You're not gonna shorten their life. You're not gonna hurt nothing. In fact, you'll probably be pretty shocked at how well they keep a charge. So. Let's see. Fun times. All right. Do some headlines. All right. Nurse sues Texas hospital over vaccine mandate. If we're not comfortable injecting something into our body, do not fire us and make us lose our livelihoods, says Bridges. Let's see. And I am the one that cut this quote out and put it up there because I'm getting tired of hearing it, damn it. So I posted the quote from the article. The headline is 12-year-old cousins brutally attacked at Worlds of Fun, leaving, hang on a second. Leaving Kansas City moms, livid. So that's the story, right? And a quote in the article, the mother, right? The mother said, "Black people stood around and was recording it and watching them laughing," Chanel Tillman said. "A white woman saved my child's life, and I thank her. And I hope she's watching this today. And I hope that I see her in court so I can give her a hug." Okay? And so the only reason why I want to point this out is because I am getting so sick of this bullshit rhetoric that somebody's race defines who they are and what they're about, because it doesn't. And this anti-racism stuff that's going on is nothing but racism. Plain and simple. People are people, right? We can't assign an action to a race or a religion or a whatever. We can't. We're all individuals, you know. And that's the only reason why I pointed this out. I'm not trying to do anything other than say, hey, look, you know, if we're such the devil, stop to this. We gotta stop, folks. Not only do we gotta stop attacking each other like this initial attack here, but we also gotta stop attacking each other over our differences, especially those differences that we were born with. That's just plain ignorance. Right. Let's see. Joints for jabs. Washington State allows cannabis stores to hand out free pot to COVID-19 vaccine recipients. Nevada bans grass to battle drought. Outlaws 31% of Las Vegas turf as non-functional. A massive tornado rips through Colorado, captured in dramatic close-up videos from plane. Pakistani PM Khan condemns Islamophobia in West and terrorism after truck attack in Canada kills 4 members of Muslim family. I do want to show you a little bit of a video too before I get out of here, just a snippet of it, okay? But I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to watch the rest of it. It's really, really cool video, but I'm not going to play it all because I want this guy to get I want him to get the views. Let's see. Britain's The Times falsely claims Russian bombers entered neutral Irish airspace as it pushes Dublin to link up with UK and NATO. Let's see. And I'll try to catch the ones that we already covered and not reread them. Let's see. Help wanted. Western media is in dire need of more Russia writers. Must be willing to lie, distort, and engage in lazy speculation. Bitcoin dives almost 10% as China and U.S. tighten noose around crypto. A sting of the century. FBI and Australian police trick criminal gangs into using surveilled chat app and make hundreds of arrests. Don't I keep saying over and over and over and over, don't go run into this platform, that platform, this app and that app, and just think that you're free because they tell you you're free and you're private and you're really? And it's funny because I tell people these things and I get ridiculed for it. I do. I get ridiculed for it. When I tell people don't trust when a company that you're about to hand money to tells you that their encryption will make sure you're completely invisible forever, don't believe that. Just don't. Don't. Okay.
If you think your VPN protects you, try to launch an attack somewhere really stupid. I'm not going to give you a cyber attack. I'm not going to give you a target because I don't want to get blamed for enticing somebody to launch an attack. But if you think your VPN protects you, you try launching a cyber attack behind a VPN and tell me how long it takes for your door to come busting down. And then tell me about your, yeah. Don't say anything, and I've said this 1,000,001 times, don't say anything over the internet or your phone that you wouldn't say just to the open public. Don't. Period. I can't say it enough. Hong Kong will continue to invite foreign judges, says Lam. Judicial system remains hard as a rock despite UK judge resignation. Push of COVID-19 lab leak theory. Oh, sorry. I was starting to reread one. Saudi Arabia and Russia warns of major oil supply crunch without new investments in fossil fuels. Russian economy continues to rebound with huge surge in May. Let's see. Outage. Users report major sites down, including Amazon, Guardian, New York Times, and Reddit. I've got to do a channel scan. Let's see. Russia expresses anger about U.S.-led NATO war games over frozen Arctic and says provocative aerial combat simulations challenge peace. Oh, I read that one. Sorry. I should say I reread that one. Let's see. China becomes first country to offer COVID-19 vaccines to children as young as 3. Issue behind mass internet outage has been identified and is currently being fixed, says Fastly. A UK Met police officer admits to kidnap and rape of Sarah Everard, accepting responsibility for her murder. Malta accuses Britain of choosing politics over science as the island with no new COVID-19 cases remains on UK amber list. Moscow to quit International Space Station. Oh, I read that one. Sorry. I try. Scientists in Siberia resurrect new species of ancient asexual microscopic animals frozen in Russian River for 24,000 years. Isn't there some bad movies about this? Let's see. There's no safe place for terrorists. Turkey neutralizes 2 PKK foes in Ghera, northern Iraq. I read that one. Let's see. Britain shocked as none of 30 friends at party where BLM activist was shot talked to the police. The Tokyo Olympics will constantly monitor foreign journalists via GPS under COVID restrictions. British squatties get drunk, must be Russia's fault. Analyst blames Putin's operatives after soldiers thrown off Estonian train. Let's see. And this is more on that app. This is another headline to do with the app. 800 plus suspects arrested in an exceptional global sting operation where gangs were lured into using monitored chat app, says Europol. Let's see. Skynet, Russians, Twitter jesters have a field day after cyber attack trends amid massive downing of popular websites. And there was a lot of them down, like Reddit. I know Amazon was down because I had to plug it in there to see myself, and yeah, it was down. But yeah, it was like down. Let's see. Said that one. Time running out to solve Northern Ireland Brexit issues, UK says, as EU warns London against breaching law. Like she's a Mossad agent, ultra-Orthodox Jewish news website mocked for blurring out face of female Israeli party leader. A right-wing politician claims members of Uzbekistan's LGBT community support his plan to deport them to where they will be accepted. Let's see. Russia plans COVID vaccination travel for foreigners to revive tourism industry. UN condemns Myanmar military for displacing 100,000 citizens with indiscriminate attacks. Love thy neighbor, Putin says religious values of mercy and support for vulnerable underpin Russian civilization through history. A public urge to minimize travel in North England's Delta variant hotspots in bid to control COVID strain spread. Now you notice they're changing how they name these variants, right? Now they're not saying the Indian variant or the whatever variant. Now it's Delta. So, Delta. And I think that is a dangerous concept, right? It's going to be much harder for us to remember which is which. And it may, with as many different mutations and strains that we're seeing come out, it may at some point become important that we can know which is which. It's a possibility, right? Because these strains are different. And I know I would remember it better if I could associate it differently than, alpha, beta, I could remember it a lot better if I could associate it to something a little more unique than that. So, anyway. Let's see. And what's the hell's the deal, right? If we have a variant pop up, why not call it the U.S. variant? People just need to change their pads and move on or something. I don't know. I don't know. And I haven't been to Europe. Kamala Harris waves off lack of visits to U.S.-Mexico border when confronted. Ratko Mladic, there's no V in there. Ratko Mladic, yeah, there's no way I can say that right. Appeal of life sentence is rejected by court, turning page for Yugoslavia tribunal. 2 arrested after incident that has seen French President Emmanuel Macron slapped in the face. South Africa's health minister placed on leave until further notice amid corruption investigation. Senate releases damning report on Capitol riot. Intel ignored. Officers undertrained and under-equipped. Leaders and backup missing. It has to stop. Canada's PM Trudeau brands killing of Ontario Muslim family a terrorist attack. You're damn right it was. U.S. Senate votes to give financial aid to Havana Syndrome victims and resurrect specter of mystery weapon behind the attacks. And this is interesting, too. And I did debate whether or not putting that in the pile of headlines today, too. I just didn't because while this isn't new, this interest again in it is. So I guess they're going to start trying to figure it out again. I don't know what's going on with it. It's very interesting. And there's a lot of people that expect that they have been affected by this. And out of those people, they have been affected in different ways. And largely depending on where they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, group of people in this country would be affected in one way more, and people in another country would be affected in another way more. Very interesting stuff. So I've actually looked into quite a bit of it. A lot happened down in Cuba and Havana Syndrome, but a lot of it had happened down there, but that's not the only place. It's happened in the EU. I think that they suspected possibly even in China. So there's multiple places that this has happened at. It's not just Havana. It was just titled that because that's I think when it got their attention was from those cases that happened there. So that's why it was named that way, not because they're trying to be racist against the Havanian people. Let's see. And so it begins, mixed reaction as vaccine passports plans set to begin with England Euro 2020 games at Wembley this weekend. Let's see. Former French university chief charged over rotting body scandal involving donated corpses at Paris University. The UK government delays plans for controversial health data system after opposition from medical groups. Scam artist who posed as Trump's brother, sister, and son on Twitter charged with fraud and identity theft. French court charges Renault with deceit over Dieselgate scandal and orders it to provide damages guarantees. Hunter Biden used the N-word in messages with his lawyer, even sexted him by accident, says the media. Can we please? I mean, really? Could you imagine? Could you imagine if one of Trump's kids, and I'm not getting in this whole red, blue, right, left nonsense. I'm just speaking matter of fact. Could you imagine if one of Trump's kids, could you, even if Barron would have been caught with a joint, right? It would have been the end of the world. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. A controversial Israeli flag march through Jerusalem gets green light from Security Council. Explosions over Damascus, Syrian air defenses light up sky in response to Israeli aggression, says state media. And I didn't include that in because it's another day. U.S. tax agency requests clear dictate from Congress to collect cryptocurrency transfers data. New York Times MSNBC contributor shocks critics by saying it was disturbing to see American flags flying during their Long Island trip. If you're disturbed by seeing American flags being flown in the United States of America, you're disturbed, all right. Ain't got a damn thing to do with the flag. But you are disturbed. Just saying. Who are they to dictate good and evil? Trump praises Nigeria for banning Twitter and regrets not doing so himself while president. Let's see. Pentagon says U.S. exit from Afghanistan is halfway done, but won't give specifics on progress going forward. IRS and White House claim alarm over leak that billionaires don't pay their fair share, which back Biden's tax hike agenda. And there you go. Those are the headlines. So, like I say, another day of craziness. A lot of headlines today. I kind of expect that we're going to have another busy headline day tomorrow. There's a lot of things that are just kind of kicking off. And so I think we're going to see a lot of headlines tomorrow. I really do think things are escalating, and they're doing so quickly. And I would highly recommend people keep poking at getting ready. And as I always say, don't look at that mountain. Don't look at that mountain. You know, if all you can get is a can of food, get a can of food. Put your chin up. You're doing what you can. That's all you can do. So, you know, I did the Prepper Closet video. We didn't buy all that food in one time. That's been a buildup of over quite a while. I guess Well, I mean, some of it's given, but like when we started the rice and the soups and stuff like that, yeah, it's been last, I'd say, couple of years that we've just a little bit here and there just added to it. So it's never too late to do that. And like I always say, for every day extra that you put back is another day. That's another day that you've got to work something out. So don't just give up because you can't put back 1,000 days right now. Put back what you can. You never know. Might be just enough. Right? Seems like I know of a few stories about there being just enough. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. So, hope everybody has a good night. Keep an eye on everything. I do recommend people maybe start getting some radiological preps in order. I don't think, not so concerned over anything full scale or anything like that, but possibility of tactical. In which case, you're going to want to be able to be protected from any fallout. So, it's a good thing about the tactical nuclear weapons. It's not like the regular nuclear weapons that we're used to hearing about, that do tons and tons and tons of damage and then leaves just unbelievable amounts of fallout. That now they've got tactical weapons now that don't have as big of a boom and don't leave as much radioactive residue. So they've done a lot since the Cold War, a lot. So we may have pulled back a lot of the funding on our weapons and military, but it didn't mean that we didn't do anything. Okay, we worked on some things, and we'd been working on scalable nuclear warhead technology all throughout. That didn't really stop, But we didn't work on the new propulsion systems. We kind of let our stealth technology go a little stale. Wasn't pumping the money into it. None of the administrations were pumping the money into it. So, anyway, I am going to get out of here. I hope everybody has a good night. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.